A very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to the University of Common Sense. My name is Tim Morrow, and our subject is cleansing for energy. Okay? They go together. The nice thing about those cleansing for energy means that you don't have to eliminate, cleanse, and then be strengthened. Cleansing is strengthening. That's important to understand, that cleansing is strengthening. All the herbs do, and that's all we advocate here is herbs. They bring the strength of the earth to the organ so that the organ can do its own job. And that's all it needs to do. It doesn't need to do anything else. But notice now, Americans are worn out. Americans, even at young ages. I actually have guys in their 20s coming here asking me for an herb for their libido in their 20s. And in their 60s, it's much worse. And the women are just as bad. But the bottom line to this is that you must cleanse. Now, the Disease Control Center at Atlanta, Georgia will tell you that there are 450 known diseases in this country. And I'll tell you, there's one. It's called toxic waste in the body. It's the waste that we don't eliminate. And maybe we need to understand that a little bit, because when you start talking about cleansing and getting energy, number one is eating is not a choice. Eating is not a choice. If you don't eat, you'll starve to death. So you have to eat. It's not a choice, nor is it a luxury. So it's obvious, though, you cannot use the food. You cannot use the food. The reason why you know you can't use the food is because every ounce of it has to come out of you. You may eat it, but every ounce of it has to come out of you. And if it doesn't come out of you, it will produce a problem. Okay? So eating the food is something you have to do. But let me tell you what the organs are for. The organs is to take the food, the energy from the food that you eat, and turn it into something the body can use. Because it's obvious you cannot use the food. The food has to come out. So something has to take place after you eat the food. And that is then the organs take the life from the food. That's the reason why it's so important to eat food that has life in it. The reason why Americans are always hungry is because the food they ate had no life in it, so it doesn't satisfy the bloodstream. So we're always hungry. That's the reason why we snack between the meals until we get to that next meal, because what we ate had no life in it. And when it has no life in it, you get no life from it, because the only thing we can use from the food is the life, the essence, the life of the food. That's what goes into the bloodstream. And that's what does everything for us, including our thoughts about what we eat. That's the reason why sugar is such a deadly drug. And it's the world's most popular drug. I truly believe that sugar has the greatest effect upon our memory, I think that's what Alzheimer's comes from. I think that's what baldness comes from, is sugar. And 70% of the sugar that we intake is in processed food. So that's important to understand. It's important to understand what we are putting inside of us. Sugar is deadly. Sugar is as deadly as the drugs that we take. And the reason why is because when you take something that's empty, like a drug or sugar, it has nothing in it. But the body has to do something with it. The body can't just, you must digest everything that you eat, and you must digest it quickly. And so when you take that sugar in, or you take that drug in, the body has to do something with it. And it has to do something with it with calcium. It has to do it with calcium. So the body has to take that calcium, take that thing that we ate that had no life in it, and try and do something to digest it. So it puts it in us. Where's the most calcium found in our body? Where would be the most calcium found? Bones. In our bones. In our bones. You hear about all these old people who fall down and break their hip? You read about that a lot. That's not what happens, you know. Their hip break and they fall down. And you have to know that that's true, because anybody in this room ever been ready to fall and say, "Oh, I better fall on my hip"? No. When you go down, you're going down to try and break the fall. Their hip break and they fall down. That's the big reason for hearing this about the elderly who fall down and break their hip. What's the largest bone in the body? What's the largest bones in the body? The hip bone, folks. So when the body has to take calcium, it takes it out of the bone, and after a while, the person can just be walking along and the hip break and down they go. But I don't know even if the person knows that. But medicine definitely knows that, and it is because the body had to leach that calcium, because that empty thing we ate creates all kinds of problems. Right? Remember, the elderly, some of them are taking 20 drugs. 20 drugs. And it calls for a lot of leaching of calcium out of the bone. That's where the bone density thing came from. Because the drugs eat the calcium out of the bone, then they say, well, whatever side effect drugs create, medicine makes they make a drug for it. For instance, they were told that if you don't take this for high blood pressure, you'll have a stroke. That's not true. The only way you can have a stroke is that you are taking drugs. That's the only way you can have a stroke, is that you are taking drugs. But look at that. They made a business out of giving you a stroke. Now, you know why I know what I'm saying is true? Because in their side effects, they tell you it'll cause you to have a stroke. They tell you that right on TV. And so we're putting this endless nothing in us, but making the body work overtime. That's where we are. The food is the biggest problem that we have, because it has no nutrition in it. That's the reason why you hear people talking now about raw food diet. Because truthfully, that's the way we were supposed to eat it. Do you know why you eat food raw? Because raw food has its own digestive enzyme. You don't have to eat no Rolaids after you eat raw food. You understand? No, look at horses and cows. None of them use Rolaids. But what they need is in what they eat. Not only the energy, but the ability to digest it. And even if you don't eat raw, if you steam, lightly steam, now you're getting the energy from the food. And that energy is found in the blood and in the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, we have 45 pints of lymphatic fluid. And the job of the lymphatic fluid is to take the dead cells of the body and deliver them to the bloodstream. We get rid of 1 billion dead cells an hour. The job of the lymphatic system, We got 45 pints of lymphatic fluid. We only got 15 pints of blood. So the job of the lymphatic system is to pick the dead cells, deliver it to the bloodstream. The bloodstream then delivers it to one of the channels of elimination: colon, lungs, kidney, skin, vaginal tract. Those are the 5 channels of elimination that have an out of their own. Then we have 2 internal: the lymphatic and the liver. The lymphatic and the liver dump into the other 5 channels of elimination so you can get rid of the waste of the body. It's ultra important. If you can take a look at your car, take a look at your car and you'll understand what I'm saying here. When you start your car, there has to be an exhaust. It has to be, because you started the engine. The gasoline is not going to give you the energy that you need to do whatever it is. But if you stopped up the pipe, the car would die. That's the reason why we have to eliminate every ounce that we eat. You're talking about energy. You'd have energy where when you went to bed at night, you'd have to burn it off before you went to sleep. The energy would be there from eating raw food or food that is at least just steamed. But the main thing you're looking for here is energy. And so the energy has to come from the food, and the energy has to come from what you get rid of. You have to get rid of it. Now, don't forget, it takes energy to get rid of the food also. So having the bowel movements and the menstrual cycle, and those are 2 things that you really have to look at is constipation. The number 1 problem in America today is constipation. In fact, the entire medical field is built on our constipation. It's a $2 trillion a year business, and it's built on our constipation. Do you know how they take care of our constipation? They do a colostomy, remove your rectum and put it on your side. And the medical field don't like the way we're built, and so they rebuild us. But let me tell you something. We are not to be opened. We are not to be operated on. God said, what God has put together, let no man put asunder. I am so amazed at how casual people talk about, I'm going to have surgery tomorrow. I can't stand the needle, and they're talking about being cut open, and it's just, there's really nothing to it. There's everything to it. I have a book in there called Doctors Are More Dangerous Than Germs, and it's written by a surgeon. His name is Harvey Bigleson. That's his name, Harvey Bigleson. And he wrote this book, Doctors Are More Dangerous Than Germs. He's a surgeon. That's what he does for a living. He's a surgeon. And he tells you in that book how dangerous surgery really is. And he says, once you're cut, regardless of how small the cut is, you will never be the same. I believe him. You know what the difference between minor surgery and major surgery is? You know what the difference is? Minor surgery is if it's happening to you. Major surgery is if it's happening to me. I don't want nobody cutting me open ever. Not even shots. You're not even to take shots. And when I talk about shots, I'm talking about even shots of the best herbs on earth. You can't take a shot of the best herbs on earth. So taking a shot for energy could kill you. Every shot is lethal. Every shot. The fact that it didn't kill you doesn't mean that it's not lethal. It's just that your body was strong enough to overcome it. That's all it means, is that we are magnificently built. But you taking these B12 shots and all that kind of stuff, insane. I have a friend that I play tennis with. His name is Tim also. He calls me one day and he says, my son Troy has, what do they call that? Okay, star 6 your phone for me. Meningitis, spinal meningitis. His son has spinal meningitis. Well, I know Troy. I knew his son because I played tennis with his dad and his son. And so I said to my friend Tim, I said, the only way you can have spinal meningitis is you're taking shots. And he goes, oh, Troy, don't take no shots. And I said, Tim, he's got to be taking shots. No, I'm telling you right now. I said, give me Troy's number. Let me talk directly to Troy. So he gave me his number and I called. I asked Troy, I said, Troy, what kind of shots are you taking? He goes, I'm not taking any shots, Tim. And I said, Troy, what kind of shots are you taking? Tim, I'm not taking any shots. I said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I hung up. I called him back the next day. I said, Troy, what kind of shots are you taking? Troy goes, Tim, well, he goes, I take my B12 shots. I said, how long you been taking them? 10 years. I rest my case. You know what I'm saying? Because you can only, that means what happened is you took the shot. The shot went up the spine to the brain, and then that anesthetizes the brain. I mean, it don't make you stupid, but it sure anesthetizes the brain. It fixes it so you can't think correctly. That is any shot. Don't let them tell you about any shot. What's more is, in this country, you don't have to take any shots. I don't care how much they say, even if your job depends on it, your school for your kids and all that, that's baloney. There's a waiver that you can sign, and they have to give you the waiver. So you can sign the waiver. That's whether you're in, because medicine has come up with this thing that if you work in the operating room, you have to have TB thing and all that stuff. Doctors are refusing to take it. Why? Because they know what shots do to you. So going for a shot for energy, when I say a shot, I mean a shot of anything. Why? Because it bypasses the grand order of everything. Everything that goes in this unit is to go through the mouth, to be filtered through this system. Then and only then is it allowed into your bloodstream. When you take a shot, you can take a shot in your foot. It reaches the heart before it has a chance to be filtered. And many people have dropped dead on the spot from it. They will not be held accountable. That's what you got to remember. They will not be held accountable for their actions. They demand that you take a shot and that you sign this piece of paper. But if that shot is so important, if they love you so much, why don't they sign that piece of paper? You know why? Because it makes them liable. Now, if you drop dead and you sign the paper, they say, look, he signed the paper. We're not liable. So the shots, get them out of your head. And now, because there's no energy in the food that we eat, shots are big. It's really becoming big. Go get the shot. You're going to have the energy that you need. We're having shots for sex. Now we have to have shots for everything. But there's a price to pay for taking the shot. And when they say, well, listen, this is 100% herbs, don't take the shot. It is the shot that's dangerous. It's not the herb, it's the shot itself that's dangerous. In fact, do you know how they put you to death in this state? They put you to death with a lethal injection. All injections are lethal. They just didn't kill the intended victim, but they are. So stop looking toward shots to make you well. Look to food, because food is what will make you well, but it has to be food. Cheese isn't food. Cheese bogs you down. Cheese, it produces mucus at alarming rate. One of the biggest reasons why we don't have energy is because mucus is thick and won't move. We have it from the top of our head to the bottom of our foot. Let me tell you a few names they call it. Dandruff, acne, eczema, psoriasis, yeast infection, strep throat, athlete's foot. They're all the same thing. I don't mean they're all close. They're all exactly the same thing. It's the same waste coming from a different place in the body. That's what it is. It's the same waste coming from a different place in the body. Why do they name it like that? So they can sell you a remedy. You know what the remedy I give you? It's called mullein. Mullein softens mucus everywhere and gets it out of you. Remember, the word perspire means to breathe through the skin. That's the waste coming through the skin. You want to perspire. You don't know what you're saying when you say, I don't perspire. When you don't perspire, that just means you've lost one of your channels of elimination. In fact, one of the reasons why Americans can't lose weight is because they can't perspire. Why can't you perspire? 3 reasons. We use oil of Olay. That's oil that has petroleum in it. Number 2 is we drink milk and we eat dairy products, which creates a layer of pus under the skin, keeping you from breathing. And then we wear synthetic clothes that don't breathe. When I look in the eyes of Americans, it can be a 4-year-old kid. When I look in the iris of the eye, I see that scurf rim. That scurf rim is right on the outside of the iris. Represents your skin. It means they're not breathing through the skin. And yet and still, I can look in the iris of an 80-year-old man from somewhere in Europe, and he doesn't have that scurf rim. Even though they eat the cheese and all that stuff, there's something that they don't do that we do that keeps us from being able. You're supposed to perspire at any age. That's why you see a little infant baby will perspire all over. That's what we're supposed to do. But then mommy is always putting petroleum jelly on the skin, and the baby stops perspiring. You've lost one of your channels of elimination. In fact, you lost your largest channel of elimination. You've lost the ability to perspire. When you perspire, that's your friend, not your enemy. And it allows this, it is your air conditioner, but it also allows you to be able to have that energy to do what you want to do. You know, I have the energy to do what I want to do. Now, I'm one of those people that takes herbs all day. I exercise, I do all the things, but I don't do it in the opposite. I can do all those things because I do use the herbs, because it starts within. Health starts within. Nobody can make you well but you. In fact, if you don't do it, it's not going to be done. All healing comes from within. God made it that way. I didn't. But I'm glad it did, because it means you're the captain of your own ship. Our problem is that we have allowed somebody else to tell us whether we well or sick. You got to go and have the doctor to run this test and that test on you. You know, people come to me, and I'm going to do iridology on them, and they come to me and they're telling me, I say to them, you know, I'll tell them what's going on, and they'll say to me, well, the reason why I came is because I have diabetes. And I say to them, how do you know that? And they say, well, my doctor told me. But that's not what I asked you. How do you know that? What is diabetes doing to you? Because I can't work off of what your doctor said. Your doctor's hearsay. So is your x-ray, your MRI. That don't mean nothing to me. I'm going to ask you, what is it doing to you? And how do you feel? That's totally, how do you feel? And when people come back to me and they're, you know, follow up, the first thing I'm going to say is, how do you feel? How do you feel? Because that's all that I can go by, is how you feel. And really, that's all you should go by. I mean, The guy goes to the doctor like this. The doctor said, how do you feel? I feel great, doc. I feel wonderful. And the doctor said, really? So you're not dizzy at all? Goes, heck no, doc, I'm not dizzy. What are you talking about? Why you ask a question like that, doc? And he goes, doctor goes, well, because your blood pressure is 6 million over 600 million. He goes, it is? And from there on in, he's somebody's victim. Why? Because somebody else told him he was sick. Folks, that's a problem. That is a problem when somebody else has to tell you, say, you know what God calls them? Soothsayers. He calls them fortune tellers. Somebody knows something about you that you don't know. That's the reason why I say to the person, regardless of your cancer, your age, your herpes, what, how do you feel? And when I find that out, I can work. That's what I work with, how the person feels. And when they, and tell you something, when people feel good and somebody else can take them down, and it happens all the time because a doctor said it, I don't know whether the doctor is ignorant or greedy. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is, what do you believe? What do you believe what he said? Do you think you have diabetes? Remember, when they tell you what you have, they don't prove it. They just say it. They don't prove it. That's number one. Number two is they're the ones who's going to profit from the treatment. And number three is they have no police. Nobody polices them at the end of the day. That's the reason why it's so important for you to understand your body and what's going on. And before you put a drug in it, you should at least read the side effects. The woman was in here the other day and she said that the doctor told her, you need this drug for female, or, you know. And she said that the doctor, well, that says it'll give you cancer. And he said, don't worry about that. That's 10 years down the road. Really? So 10 years down the road, we'll take care of the cancer. But how about not getting it? And if you got to take something that'll give you that, maybe you shouldn't take it. I mean, that's another alternative, is looking at how to take care of yourself. If you really want the energy that you need, it comes from within. And it comes from the fuel that you use, like your car. Anybody here got a gasoline car that they've ever put any diesel fuel in it? Try it. And you'll find out why you're dragging through life. You're using diesel and you're designed for 100% low lead or no lead. And when you put that in you get the result. That's what I do. And I've come to the conclusion that you don't have to be, you can be 20 years old and worn out. You can be 80 and have all the energy that you need and do what you want to do. Because energy comes from, it takes energy to play a set of tennis, but it also takes energy to read a book, to sit down and read a book. You should have that energy. It should be there when you want it. If you go to sleep watching TV, that's because it was boring. No, I'm kidding. But the bottom line to the TV will put you to sleep. But if you have an interest in what's on that TV, you won't go to sleep. If you're driving over the road for hours and hours and you can stay awake, it takes energy to do that. It takes energy to do that. Otherwise, just that steady hum of the highway under the tires will put you to sleep. But if you can stay awake during that time, you begin to realize that you have the energy you need to do. So number one is the energy comes from the food you eat. But number two is it won't come if you don't eliminate what you do eat. In fact, if you don't eliminate, that's probably the biggest reason for not having energy, because you get no energy from the food that's used up and you didn't eliminate it. It takes energy to eliminate. But if you eat the right food, you don't have to worry about eliminating. Or it takes energy to, it even takes energy to sleep. But it's okay energy. It's energy that the body can use all day and all night. It takes energy to dream. But we're in charge of it. We're in charge of where it came from. Where did the energy come from? When you're really lacking in energy, number one place you look is at the colon. Look to see if you are eliminating. The headache, the vomiting, the sweating, it all comes from the body not being able to eliminate what you've eaten. And dairy products is number one. But when you add the sugar, the white rice, the white stuff, you worsen the condition. So elimination is number two. Food that you eat is where the energy comes from, but you must eliminate every ounce that you eat, and that's every day. And one other thing, don't get trapped in this, I'm going to do a 30, 60, 90-day cleanse. You don't even want to get trapped in a year cleanse or a 10-year cleanse. You want to get stuck in an everyday cleanse. That 30, 60, 90 days is throwing people off. And people coming to me and they say, oh, I did colonics and I did this and I did irrigation and I did all this. Oh, so I'm cleaning. So I said, when did you do it? I did that 10 years ago. 10 years later, folks, you have to eliminate every day. It's really important to eliminate every time you eat. So you don't get trapped in there. There's 5 things that you need to understand about elimination. Because nobody in America, if you ask anybody, are you constipated? The first thing they'll say is, oh, absolutely not. And say, why do you say that? Well, because I have bowel movement every day. We'll say, how many times you eat? Oh, 3 or 4 times a day. Where's the rest of the food? You had one bowel movement and you ate 4 or 5 times. So let's say to have a bowel movement within a half an hour after you eat every time you eat. Remember now, this is University of Common Sense. So I can't just say that. I can't just take that out of the blue. So let me tell you why I'm saying that. Because number one is, within a half an hour after you eat, you should have a bowel movement. That will explain why you take the dog out after he eats. It'll also explain why a little infant baby will be eating and eliminating at the same time. He's not eliminating what he's eating. He's eliminating what he ate an hour ago. So, I mean, this is things that have to make sense to you. So, number one is you have the bowel movement at least within an hour after you eat. That's number one. Number two, at birth, the colon is 2.5 inches around, and it never gets bigger. So the waste from it should be 2 inches round. That explains itself. Number three, the waste should not sink to the bottom of the bowl, but should float on top of the water. That means what you ate had life in it. It had oxygen in it, and that floats on top of the water if it's got oxygen in it. You know, the test case of that is next time you get into the swimming pool, fill your lungs with air and try to settle on the bottom. You can't do it. Why? Because you got these inner tubes full of air. But let that air out and you sink right to the bottom and immediately. Well, that's the same principle with the waste. If it's got oxygen in it, it's going to float on top of the water. Aunt Jemima, you're going right to the bottom. Okay? Why? Because it's glue. You're fortunate it came out. The worst part is only 1/3 of it came out. The other 2/3 is stuck to the wall, the floor, the ceiling of the colon. That's number 3. Number 4 is there should be no horrid smell to the waste. This is generally where I lose people, you know. And then number 4 is because, why? Because if there's a horrid smell to it, it's been there too long. The waste has been there too long. Nothing is to remain in the body longer than 24 hours. When I say 24 hours, that is the very maximum. The truth of the matter is, what we eat should be gone in 6 hours. Why? Because it's no longer food, it's waste. And waste belongs out of the body. And number 5, wow, I don't have a picture of the colon, do I? Let me see. No, I don't have a picture of the colon, but you know, if you ever see a picture of the colon, I think he's going to bring me back one in just a minute. Oh, there, right up there. See the colon up there? See that print on the colon? That print on the outside of that colon, that print is also on the inside of the colon. That print should be on all the waste, which means it came off of the wall, the floor, the ceiling of the colon, and you did not tunnel eliminate right through the center, which is what Americans do. We tunnel eliminate right through the center, and all this waste is stuck on the wall, the floor, the ceiling of the colon years after you took it. That's the reason for the left guard and the right guard and all the other guards, because the smell of the waste is actually coming through the skin. That's the reason for deodorants. But the bottom line is, if you got that out, you wouldn't have to worry about the odor coming through the skin. Folks, this is not rocket science. This is something so simple it's silly. But they've got us believing that because the doctor went to school for 30 years that he's got the answer. The proof that he doesn't have the answer is that the doctor is sick also. He is in no better health than any one of his clients. He looks just like all the rest of his clients. And he's taking the same drug that he's prescribing for them. So he is not the answer to the problem. In fact, many times he's the problem. And that's why you have to wake up to don't let somebody else take care of you. I tried that. They betrayed me for dollars. I'd have to be some kind of a nut to want to pass that way again. And so I learned how to take care of myself. The greatest lessons that I've ever learned in my life was who was responsible for my health. I'm it. I believe in God, and I believe that I'll stand before Him and have to answer to what I did to myself. Good, bad, or indifferent, that I will have to answer for what I do. And the nice thing about being well, it is its own reward. Being well is its own reward. You don't have to get nothing. It's waking up in the morning feeling like you want to get out of bed. You know, the other morning when I got out of bed, it dawned on me, I have never awakened and sat on the side of the bed. I've never sat on the side of the bed. When I wake up, both feet are on the floor, I ain't going to see that bed for 18 hours. But I'm ready for anything the world wants to start. And I'm going for my exercise or skating or doing something that starts the day off, because I know if I don't do something in the day, I'll be sluggish at the end of the day. So energy comes from exercising. But how do you tell somebody to exercise that don't even feel like getting out of bed? I want you to feel like getting out of bed first, and then you'll exercise. That's the reason why I'm such an advocate of the herbs, because as the herbs start to cleanse the body, strengthen and tone, you can't go to sleep with that energy. You're going to say, well, you know, in the morning, I got to get up and go and exercise. And that's when you do it. You exercise when you actually feel like it. Now, I'm doing a little bit of everything, but I do it because I feel like doing it. I don't exercise because that's the right thing to do. I exercise because I feel like it. I feel like getting up. And at the end of the day, you know, I mean, I may start off the morning playing tennis or exercising and playing tennis and come in here and work the day and play tennis at the end of the day. Got the energy, and I never go to bed. I never go to bed like, oh, I'm so worn out. No. The other evening when I came in, closing out my day, I think I had been out on the tennis course hitting with the ball machine. And I walked in the garage and it dawned on me, I can't go to sleep like this. I got too much energy. It was like 9:30. I got too much energy to go to sleep. So I got to do something. I sat up and watched television. I was bored to sleep. All them 300 channels, ain't nothing on none of them. You know what I mean? So here is the energy. The energy comes from the food and eliminating the food. But it has to be food that has life in it. How do you say that? The fuel is the blood. The spark plug is the food. That's where your car runs. If the carburetor and the fuel pump in your car are not working correctly, check the fuel first, because that's what's going on with us. Diabetes, AIDS, herpes, you name it, whatever you name it. Check to see if the colon is clean. Check to see if the channels of elimination, colon, lung, kidney, skin, vaginal tract, check to see that they are open and getting rid of the exhaust. Get rid of the exhaust. When you get rid of that exhaust, it's ultra important to eliminate 2, 3, 4 times a day. Your energy will stand up and be counted. The bottom line to this is you are in charge. Don't let somebody else jump on your ship. You're the captain of your ship. Anybody that jumps on your ship without your consent, that's called mutiny. And you have the authority to treat them as a mutineer, regardless of their education. Probably not a nice thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyhow. The best advice I can give you is stay away from the doctor. Not so much that the doctor is bad, but he carries something called drugs. That makes a difference. Unfortunately, we will take it even though it says it'll cause you to have a stroke, a heart attack, and death. Then we got to tell you something, and then I'm going to open for questions. But 7 years ago, the pharmaceutical industry went to the FDA, and they said, we want to advertise directly to the public. And the FDA said, if you advertise directly to the public, you have to tell them the side effect. They can't be written in little. You got to say it. It's got to be plain. People have to understand what the side effect of it is. That's what you hear now. When they tell you that, it will cause you it's fatal. They'll tell you that it's fatal. They have to. But when they tell you that there's a nice lady going through it with a nice garment on that's flowing in the sunlight, she's beautiful, as they tell you, this stuff is going to kill you. Yeah, listen, that's what they did. But they're going back to the FDA. And now the FDA is saying, okay, you can take down some of the side effects. So you're going to hear less and less of it. But it's just as deadly as it ever was. When I was a boy growing up, on a tin of aspirin, a little tin of Bayer Tylenol, they had on there a skull and crossbones. And written under it was poison. They had to put that on it. Well, they legislated that off by buying senators and congressmen and governors. You know what I mean? They legislated it off. It's just as poison today as it ever was. You think that taking that baby aspirin is just what the doctor ordered? He did. Do you know why? Because Dr. Ryer, remember hearing about Ryer syndrome? Ryer syndrome was Dr. Ryer who found out that baby aspirin was eating the lining out of baby's stomach. So they had to stop giving that. You can't continue to give that to little infant baby and get away with it. They had to stop. But they had made probably 2 or 3 trillion of those baby aspirin. So what are we going to do with these baby aspirin? So we just tell every adult, take a baby aspirin. It'll keep your blood thin. And they're right. Not only will it keep it thin, it'll keep it so thin that you can have a stroke. It'll keep it so thin that somebody can hit you like that and you bleed until you are dead and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Yeah. Why do you need your blood thin? Who kept your blood thin from birth until you're 40 and the doctor's telling you to take who kept it thin until then? See, the bottom line here is they sell drugs. And if you buy their story, you know what the biggest story is going on today? Is that one of your kidneys is 80% blocked up and the other one is 90% blocked up. It's just a matter of time before you won't be able to urinate. You need to be on the dialysis machine. And they go on the dialysis machine. You know what the first thing they do when you go on the dialysis machine? They restrict your intake of water. A gift from your creator that the doctor says, I know what I'm doing, God don't. The body is 71% water. And the doctor's telling you, you don't need that. They're telling mothers, oh, don't give your baby water. Baby don't need water. Give the baby, your breast is enough water for it. Every living thing needs water. Every living thing. And poor women are taking the word and their babies are so sick, they don't know what the heck. They don't know what's wrong with them. And all it needs is water. That's what's going on with us. That's the reason why if you don't know how to take care of yourself, learn. Not only is it easy, it's fun. I have not spent 1 second of my last 34 years in a doctor's office or in a pharmacy waiting to pick up a drug, waiting for them to fill a prescription. I'm gonna get a drug. But you know, when the FDA went to, when the pharmaceutical industry went to the FDA, I honestly think that was God's movement, because they do have to tell you, okay? Now, if you choose to take that, guess what you did? You exercise your choice. And the choice is the one thing that God does give us. You have choice. You take that drug and it gives you a stroke. I mean, you know what the judge would say to your next of kin? He'd say, I'm handcuffed. I can't do anything for you because your husband, your wife, chose to take a drug that they knew would kill them. That was a choice they made. That's the reason why they've done it, folks. Okay? Out there on the telephone, I'm going to open up for questions if you have any questions. And I have a live audience in front of me. They have questions also, but I'm opening up to the people on the telephone. Anybody got questions out there for me?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Thank you. Everything was awe-inspiring as usual. But I wanted to ask, what do you recommend in the event of, say, dental treatment? When you were saying about the taking the shots, that's always my fear.
Well, you know, I gotta say, when you're talking about dental, my wife had $13,000 worth of dental work done, and she never took one shot of the Novocaine.
Wow.
Not one shot. In fact, the dentist said, I have got to reevaluate what I'm doing. He said, I've got to look at what I'm doing. So, see, we just assume that we're going to have he's gonna hit a nerve and all that stuff. Take whatever you can. One other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have your wisdom teeth removed. You don't ever want to have your wisdom teeth removed. And number two is you don't want them ever to clean below the gum line. You don't want them to pull that gum down and all that. They're going to clean your teeth. Yes, I would say that. Why? Because of what we eat. You know what I mean? You get that off of you. You get that off of your teeth. But don't go for that deep dental, and don't have them remove your wisdom teeth. Your wisdom teeth grow in. Sometimes your wisdom teeth don't grow until you're 25. And they grow in to lock your teeth in. Lock in all your teeth. Once they take your wisdom teeth out, now those teeth can shift, and that's what they do. So don't have them remove those. I mean, most of it has already had it done. But that's good practice for the dentist, but not for you. But when you tell the doctor to do whatever he has to do, tell him to do it until you can't take it anymore. And then you take that shot. But otherwise, don't just take those shots for the heck of it. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And take the astringent and help your gums.
Yes. One of the astringent herb that it does, it tightens the teeth around, it pulls things back into place. It's good for hemorrhoids, hernias, varicose vein, but it also tightens the gums around the teeth so the food don't get in under them. It's just what it says it is. It tightens things up. Bladders, and that are falling, uteruses, all that, prostates, all that astringent herb really works on taking care of that. But if you can avoid having a shot, avoid it at all costs. Okay? All right. Thanks. Anybody out there on the phone have any other questions? Okay, thank you for listening. Well, I got an audience in front of me. So,
I have a question about if you're traveling to a third world nation and it's possibly like malaria filled, like in the region that you're going to, and especially for kids. So I'm sure that you go against these type of shots.
well, the question she's asking here is if you're traveling and you're going to third world countries, and she's asking about shots. And my reply is, under no circumstances do you want a shot. You understand? They told me one time when I was getting ready to go, I can't even remember where I was going, but they said, well, have you had your shot? No, I haven't had no shot. I don't take shots. And they said, well, you can't go. I said, okay, bye. And I turned around to leave. They said, wait a minute, just a minute, maybe we can compromise. Because suppose you take the shot and you're sick the whole trip. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what do you think about yourself? I think that a shot is dangerous enough for me not to take it. And whatever I have to do to avoid it, I will do it. It's that simple. No third world countries and all that stuff, don't take it.
So would you
Well, if you're working with the herbs, when you're working with the herbs, if you're working with the herbs, you don't have to worry about that. Whoever that is out there, what is that?
Yes, I had a question. It's so swelling.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my left ankle swells a lot. It was broken back in '09, and the leg was broken a long time ago, and the swelling never goes down. Is there anything I can do to help it?
One of the things I have is an herb called Ultra Relief. The reason why I put it together because there's a lot of calcium in it. I don't know, what is that background? That's feedback. Somebody's got their phone. Would you *6 for me? Did I answer your question for you?
I didn't hear the answer.
Okay, give me the question again.
Swelling. What can I do about my ankle swelling? It's been called ankylosis, but it came from a point down when I first wake up in the morning. But the more I'm on it, the more I swell.
Oh, okay. Listen. That is the body holding water. And the body is holding water, always holding water for a reason. It's always holding. And how many medications are you taking?
One.
That's your reason. When the body can't get rid of the poison, it sends water out to dilute the poison. That's what your problem is. Number one thing you need to do is become unconstipated. And the drug constipates you even if you weren't constipated before. Who gave you that name?
Okay. This was back in the 70s. A doctor gave it to me after the cast came off of my leg. And then I broke the ankle again in '09.
Okay, well, the body of the
And
body.
that was before, it started swelling before I started on the medication.
Yeah, but you said you broke it.
Yes.
Well, you must have took medication after you broke it, whether it was aspirin or whatever they did. I know they gave you plenty of drugs. If it was broken, they gave you plenty of drugs. You didn't have to necessarily take it. You could get it in a shot. You could get it in surgery. But the body holds water for a reason. It doesn't hold it for no reason. And it's there to protect you, always.
Okay.
Okay? That's what I was saying about the herb called Ultra Relief. It will help to me. Apparently, it's not mended completely. Even though it was 7 years ago, it's not mended completely. So the body is trying to protect you from it being re-hurt. But,
Okay.
but that Ultra Relief has calcium in it. And it's got to be calcium that the body can absorb. The body cannot not absorb calcium in the form of anything except a plant. It can absorb a vitamin. And it certainly can absorb a drug. So Ultra Relief is what will help you. Anybody else out there on the telephone that has a question? Okay, I got an audience in front of me. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, so just basically, your regimen of herbs, whatever.
That's right. If I were getting ready to leave and go to some third world country, I wouldn't do anything extra. Why? Because I've done it for my country. I don't have to say, okay, I'm going to, but no. I already got what I need.
And even because I have a 3-year-old son.
Yeah, but if you give that 3-year-old son a shot and it kills him or it maims him, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. And this is especially true of a child. A shot is, you don't even know what's in the shot. Yes?
I have a question of the question. Let's say when you get to that third world country or any other country, should you switch your herbs to herbs that have been grown there because of the
Well,
radius thing?
let me say it this way. If I was going to China and I was going to be there for 2 years, I would not take my herbs with me. I'd use the herbs in China. But if I was just going there for a visit, I'd have my own herbs with me. Yeah. Yeah.
When my husband and I were taking Sucolax, my husband complained that his diarrhea doesn't stop.
His diarrhea?
And he's very uncomfortable. He's saying this must be bad for my health.
He's taking too much.
He's taking 2.
That's too much.
Oh, too much.
Take one. Take one in the morning and one in the evening. That's all it is. Herbs work on people. You don't have, everybody can't take the same amount because everybody is not the same. We're all different. If you're taking too much, you got diarrhea. If you're not taking enough, take more of it. This is herbs. This is not drugs. 100% herbs. Yeah.
And I think he might find later he's going to have to take more.
Yes.
Sometimes at the beginning there's so much waste there, you just going, then he'll say it's not working no more. Not that it's not working no more, you reach different layers of waste, so now you got to take more. You know, so you could always take more, take less, you know.
That's the nice thing about the herb. You can take more today, less tomorrow. How did it work?
So then if it's, so let's say if it's the waste is kind of soft but solid, is the healthy waste, the healthy way going in your body, that's the indication. And then the diarrhea is actually not doing good, or is there any way to figure it out?
Actually, diarrhea is the surest sign of constipation. That's the body inadvertently doing what you won't do. So the body takes the water from the kidney, runs it through the colon so it can get that hard fecal waste off of the wall, the floor, the ceiling of the colon. That's what that is. That's the body taking care of us when we won't take care of ourselves. So that's the surest sign of constipation is diarrhea. Sometimes the body will give you diarrhea because it can't get around that clump of cheese that you ate in 1940. You know what I'm saying? So the body will do what it has to do once you give it the strength. And that's what this is about, is the herb just brings the strength of the earth to the organ so the organ can do its own job. So where is all the strength? It's in the earth that we came from. That's the reason why you have to eat the herb that grows from the earth that we came from. That's why the dog never stands and never is barking at the pharmaceutical for drugs. But he will eat the grass. Because the dog knows that the blueprint to his body, all the animals on the planet know that, except me. Shame on me. I should know. I should know when I can see the animals. You know, and then you got an organization that says all that stuff is no good. However, we have made a drug for you. But they imitated the herb. They imitated the herb. Do you know what the other word for imitation is? Counterfeit. The drug is a counterfeit for the herb. And they got this thing telling you how much they want to protect you from people like us. This is the same people that allow on the market drugs that will cause you to have a stroke, a heart attack, and death.
Yeah. Just to let everybody know, I was watching the NBA draft yesterday. This kid was 21 years old, and the doctor told him he can never play professional basketball because he had a heart condition.
A heart condition is going to last forever.
Yep.
Wow. Means you can never get well. Once you're sick, you'll always be sick.
Yeah.
What the hell is the matter with us?
At 21 years old.
21 years old.
He said his career was completely done, over. He can never play professionally.
But that's what I'm saying. You're letting some joker, don't know nothing about you, but he can tell you how to run your life. He can tell you how to ruin your life, but he can't tell you how to run it. Yes.
I have a question and a compliment. Compliment first. So, my name is Janelle. I'm from Chicago. Every time I'm in California, I stop by to see you. I've been taking your herbs for 12, 13 years now. I'm 55 years old. I've had the energy of a 2-year-old. A 12-year-old, but 12-year-olds these days don't have energy. So
I know.
To a
Yeah.
2-year-old,
Yeah.
I promise you, I can run, I can jump, I can skate, I do it all, I jet ski, whatever. I have so much energy, it's ridiculous. I beat him doing sit-ups, push-ups this morning. So, anyway, I promise you, this is just common sense. And like I said, I've been doing it for 12, 13 years now. I can't thank you enough. I'll continue to use these herbs because I plan to live to be, 140?
That's right.
I'm so excited. When I come here, I just have to see you. I got a family reunion, that's why I'm here. People are calling me, I gotta run, so I'm gonna try to see you Monday before I leave.
Okay.
But the astringent thing, I wanted information on that because I get my teeth cleaned gums. So I'm going to stop her.
Don't do that.
But I want to know what type of astringent to use.
That's the one I was saying about. It's called the astringent formula. Yeah, that's one of the last herbs that I just put together.
Okay.
But it's good, and I'm the biggest user of it.
Okay, I will be getting it before I leave here. And thank you again so much.
You look great.
Work it. It's so worth it. I am 55, and I'm showing my ID. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Come up, bring me a hug.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
No problem. My pleasure.
You're looking great.
Thank you. Take us back to Chicago.
I got a picture too.
Okay. We got a real picture right here, babe. Thank you. We got a real picture right here. I'll keep that one. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
welcome.
I'll see you Monday,
You
though.
look great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
see you Monday. Let's see what now. I mean, she's 55. I'm 80. I roller skate 3 miles. You know what I mean? Cause I can. Cause I feel like it. You know. I mean, I'm out there doing it. I came back from skating the other day, and my neighbor goes, "Don't you think you're a little bit too old to be out there skating?" I said to him, "I thought I was too old not to." I learned to roller skate incidentally when I was 47. Yeah.
I want to ask you, what causes, like Charlie horses?
I'm an authority on that. What causes Charlie horses? I'm an authority on it because I've had it since I was that big. And I mean, I've had Charlie horses. And I mean, the Charlie horses, they oh, and here, I just had the other day, I've actually gotten out of the car on the freeway to walk. Because that's all I can do is just walk. I can't do nothing else. It's a lack of calcium. It's a lack of calcium. And calcium is the hardest of the minerals to ingest. It has to come from a plant. That's one of the reasons why I put together that Ultra Relief. It's because I'm really beginning to use that a lot. Because I've suffered with them. When I was 14, I was in my gym class, and what was his name? Mr. Wright. He weighed 200 pounds. He had to stand on the back of my leg. He had to stand on it to keep it from, because my Charlie horses will pull my leg up to the point where I can't straighten it out. And I mean, painful, very painful.
They wake me up out of my sleep.
Yes, I've awakened out of my sleep to, and well, just the other morning, what was that, 2 days ago, I was walking up and down because it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
My mom says it's because I don't have enough potassium.
No, it's not potassium, but it is calcium, and calcium finds its solution in potassium. But you got to have the calcium first. Calcium's everything. All minerals and trace minerals hitch a ride on calcium.
To stop conference recording, press 1. To return, your conference recording has stopped.
So yeah, that Ultra Relief will help you tremendously. Don't take a whole bunch of them, because the body can only absorb so much at a time. You know what I mean? But everything hitches a ride on calcium, and so if you don't have what you need in calcium, the other minerals and trace minerals just slip through the body.
I'm already taking quite a few things now. Should I add that?
Just add that. Even if you took one in the morning and one in the evening, you're putting it in you what you need. The body will do the rest. It must come from a plant. Welcome, young lady. Welcome. My number one distributor. Thank you. Yeah, tell about energy. What, 83? 84. Got more energy than all of us combined. always at it, still driving. You know what I mean? These people get in their car. Oh, I can't drive no more at night. Why? Hell, because you said you can't. I'm too old to drive. I don't play that.
Numbers have
Nothing to do with it. It don't make no difference anyhow. Growing old does not make us sick. It's growing sick that makes us old. Oh, yes.
So at the end of the year, I'm trying to get my amalgam fillings out.
Yes.
So,
Do it without the shots. Now let me tell you what you can do. As you take the herbs, if we actually had the right amount of calcium in us, we'd never witness a cavity, because the cavities would fill from within. When I got started in this, my fillings would be pushed out because they were filling from within. But then I had my niece, she was a dentist up in Oakland, and I went up there and she took all of my fillings out. She never used a shot, even one time. And I'm taken out. Don't go in there assuming, oh, I'm gonna have to have, the shots, because those shots are, when your mouth, you can't feel this side of your mouth. Oh, God, that is a terrible feeling from that anesthetic that they put in you.
Speaking on the dentist, what are your views on implants?
Oh, don't do it. Don't do an implant. Do you know why you don't do an implant? If the body couldn't hold the tooth that came embedded, how's it going to hold a foreign matter? That's a foreign matter that they're going to put in. It wouldn't hold the tooth. It sure is not going to hold a foreign matter. That's just good old common sense there.
Kurt, what if, like, you tripped and chipped your tooth off or something? Would that implant?
Whatever a dentist can do to cosmetically make that look good, you do it. But especially if it bothers you. But I'm not knocking the dentist. You know why? Because we created this artificial society, and we created what got, so whatever you got. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go back to the horse and buggy. Why? Because you got freeways out there and they're traveling at 200 miles an hour. And if you take a buggy out there, you're going to get killed. But you don't have to do everything that they say, especially when you're talking about getting shots.
Yeah, I understand. But I don't know. I did. Did you tell them I did it without?
I told them about $13,000 worth of dental work.
I did a lot of dental work with no shot, and I was so proud of myself. I really was.
I'm telling you, the dentist said, I'm going to have to reevaluate what I'm doing. I'm giving these people all these shots. And she sat there in that chair and just, wait, what are we going now? 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
Went
Well,
down
that
there.
desert.
Yeah.
The reason I did it, because the amalgam, the mercury is bad. And we had went to we went to a party with Irene McGrath, and she's another herbalist out there. She passed now, but anyhow, she had a party, and she had the dentist there. He had a dentist there at the event she had, and he was a Korean dentist. And oh Lord, and so anyhow, he was a Korean dentist, and he was testing everybody, muscle testing them. And I'm like, what? And then he had everyone come up to muscle test them on your teeth. So he was, and I never see muscle testing done on your mouth. And it was just amazing how he would test, and he would put a piece of paper and he'd fold it up and he'd put it between your teeth just to make the balance, and then he would test you strong. Then he would take the paper out, and then the next your arm would go down. No, anyone knows about muscle testing, it shows you. And I'm like, what? It was just so amazing. And he did it on so many different people. And then he would just adjust the paper, because a lot of us our bite is off. He said, just correcting your bite. So I was really impressed with him. And I said, you know what? And I started learning all this stuff from Tim too. And I said, we're going to go see him in Palm Desert. I don't care. We're going down there. We have timeshares. We'll just go stay down there. And we did. And I had him started working on my teeth, taking it out. And he would muscle test. And he made sure everything was just right. I mean, it was just amazing the kind of work he did. And then he was amazed with me, because I said, you know what, don't give me a shot. You know, I go, if I'll let you know when I need it. I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. Listening to him, I figured, okay, I'm going to try this, right? And stuff. So the thing I did do was take Nervines. I had, at that time, I had Lobelia, Nature Sunshine, Distress Remedy, and Valerian. So I knew that I needed to relax. So just hearing that noise, I get, you know what I mean? So, and I feel that you work with the Nervine, it keeps you calm. You know, even if I got to go get my teeth cleaned now or whatever, I'll take a little something before I go just to keep me relaxed. Because most of the time, we tense. That's what our problem is. We automatically, we're feeling pain before they even touch us. We're like, and that causes problems. So relax. I didn't tell you, our friend, she called yesterday. Her son is going to go get 4 teeth removed because his teeth are real crowded. And he's going to do 4. I wanted to tell her not to do it. She's a good friend of mine. But as she kept talking, I figured, you know what? I'm going to leave her alone. Sometimes you got to know when to be quiet with your friends when they're doing things. But she asked me, what do I do? What do I do? Because they want him to take a Valium the night before and a Valium in the morning. Okay? So now he has to go do this surgery they're going to do to take it out. So you know they're going to give him shots too. So what's the purpose of the Valium anyhow? I don't understand that if you're going to still give him medication. So I told her, well, she already knew. And she goes, the nerve control? I go, yep. And she said he needs to take antibiotics after. And I said, the golden seal. She goes, well, that's what I thought. So I told her, just give him 5 nerve controls the night before, give him 5 in the morning, and when he's done doing what he's doing, give him the golden seal, you know, and work with the blood builder too to try to get all that out of his system. But that's what they wanted. I'll tell you who it is later. You're going to die. But anyhow, that's what they were going to, you know, so I told her to substitute that. I don't see the reason for Valium anyhow, because they're going to inject him with stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's just another way of, and I told her, I go, you give him the Valium, you don't even know how he's going to react to that Valium anyhow. Huh? Yeah. And I said, yeah, that's going to really make him, and she's been on Earth with her kids now probably since he's 8. He's like 18 now. So that's not good, you know? So anyhow, what I'm trying to say, if you're going to go to the dentist, I feel if your gums are healthy, you know, when I say healthy, they're not sensitive, okay? If your gums are sensitive, okay, you might have a little issue because you barely touch it. That's why I say make sure your gums are, that astringent is very good. The Ultra Relief is very good because the calcium and the astringent helps to pull it. Work with that. So next time you have to go, be ready, okay, take your nerve control, go get it done. You'll see it's a whole big difference. It helps you to relax. When Danielle has to go get her clean, she'll take some Nervines too. And Danielle's never had a shot. Never had a shot. She gets her teeth cleaned. I think one time she had a little filling to done, but she's never. And the dentist, she's amazed. I go to the one by the old shop, and she does what we tell her to do. You know, we tell her we don't want it, and we tell her we'll let you know if we need it. Okay, we'll let you know if we need it. To me, that's just like having a baby. They automatically want to inject you with stuff. Hey, wait, let me tell you when I need it. You know, so with the teeth, try it. I could do it. Anybody could.
Pulling, I've been hearing more about the oil pulling to kind of disinfect the mouth.
Which oils are you talking about?
Using like coconut
oregano?
oil
Oh, okay.
or oregano or something.
Oregano oil is very good for the teeth too.
And that's supposed to help with the gums or
Yes.
infection.
Yes, and aloe vera too. If you're having, that's why in the astringent there's a lot of aloe vera.
Aloe vera is
Okay.
an astringent.
There's a lot of aloe vera, but you could also take it, when people are saying they're having problems with their gums, we'll tell them get the aloe vera, let it be the last thing you do before you go to bed and rinse your mouth, and it helps to tighten. You know, I mean, Josh, he has like 7 kids, and he was doing that with his kids. He said they rinse before they go to bed with the aloe vera. He said he hasn't had any problems with his kids' teeth. You know, go ahead. Oh, root canals are so bad.
Very, very dangerous, and you'd be better off to have the tooth removed than to have that. And the reason why is because the tooth is dead. Okay? Anything that dies in you will decay. Anything that will decay in you will kill you. But let me tell you what the danger is that they say you get that done when you're 30 years old. That tooth now, you see turns yellow. That means the tooth is dead. When they say root canal, they're taking the nerve out of the tooth. You can't feel that. You can't feel that tooth anymore. That tooth is never going to ache, but it's going to turn brown. Why? Because there's no nerve in it. And then what will happen is it will break off at the gum line. You know what that means? Surgery. That is surgery to get out because it's broke at the gum line. So they got to go in there and get that tooth out of there.
I have a daughter right now, she's been through that. Remember how many times that she had the root canal and they went again, and now just up to a month ago, she was hurting again. And so, what happened? You did a root canal. That should have been the end of it.
That should have been the end of it.
She's constantly having a problem with her that same tooth. Something's wrong. We have an article, I think that's going to be in the next health alert. I found this awesome article on root canals, and even talks about dentists telling you, don't do a root canal.
No, don't do a root canal.
It's dead, you know?
What if it's your front tooth?
That's even worse because now it's eventually going to turn brown, brown, yeah. And that's even, I mean, cosmetically, how good does that look?
I mean, they put I don't know much about it in the,
Yeah, they put a pole.
So what do? Do they put a piece of metal and they put the tooth on it?
No, they don't put a piece of metal in there. No, that's not metal. That's a glue. That glue will come off. That thing. So you got it capped. You got a root canal, but it's capped. They capped it. That won't turn. The reason why they cap it is because they know it'll turn yellow. So they put the white thing on it.
So is it better just to take it all out?
Well, if it's not bothering you, don't bother it, because sooner or later when it bothers you, you'll have to have it taken out. But if it's not bothering you,
Work with your herbs, so work with calcium.
Yeah.
Take a lot of calcium, strengthen things like that, aloe vera. I mean, work with the herbs as much as you can. See out the Starbucks is killing our teeth. Okay, you wonder why there's such a problem with teeth, the sodas, the Starbucks, the Gatorade, the vitamin water, all that stuff is ruining our teeth, and the children are starting from little. It kills me, my grandkids, they drink Starbucks. They drink the Frappuccino, Cappuccino, whatever that is, but that's the thing now. We would never got to have coffee. We got to sneak it out of our parents. It was like sneaking around the table, and it was like a big thing. Ooh, we got a little bit of coffee. Now, the kids from little, 3 years old, are drinking Starbucks. Starbucks is killing us internally and our teeth, everything. I mean, everything in moderation is great. You can do things in moderation, but we're excessively living at Starbucks. And now Starbucks is having what now? They're going to have, they're starting it out towards Hollywood. At the evening crowd, the alcohol, they're bringing alcohol now at Starbucks at night. You know? Yeah, drive through. Right, we're drive through.
that means your 12-year-old can now buy alcohol from. All I have to do is go through a drive-through.
I mean, but anyhow, really, I know Starbucks, what's the other one? Coffee Tree, Coffee Bean, you know?
A drive-through to buy alcohol?
Huh? Well, no, I'm just saying, but Starbucks is a drive-through.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So how do they,
How are they going to separate it?
How do you separate
The only way they can do it is say you can't purchase alcohol through drive-through. That's the only way they can do it.
They want to get the evening crowd with alcohol
Yeah.
now. Well, I don't know how much more they went. Jesus, they got the whole daytime crowd on caffeine. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, your teeth, if you're going to still do some of those things, you got to make sure you take more calcium in.
Yeah.
You got to really strengthen if you strengthen those gums and they're not sensitive, I guarantee when you go to the dentist, you will be able to have it done without having to go to the
anesthetic,
shop.
yeah.
You will.
I did it without shots.
Yeah.
You can hear the drill.
Yeah, just the sound of the drilling is the worst thing.
The nervy is
But I didn't even do it. I did it without nerve. I just
do
did
it.
it.
So you're good. You're
I was
good.
like, don't give me the shot. They numbed it with something on the outside.
They put the cotton with the
Yeah,
and
and I was okay with that. I was okay with that.
But that still seeps into that seep. If you don't try it first, no one's ever tried it. I mean, until he was talking about, I would never have done that. And I said, oh, what the heck? It was kind of like when I had Danielle at home with the midwife, my last baby. I had one at home. I had one with the doctor, with my previous husband. I went to the doctor, the other 2 C-sections. Never would I thought to have it at home with the midwife. I mean, I already had 2 C-sections. And so when he kept talking about it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm changing everything else. Let me try something. It was not, see, no one ever gave me an alternative. I know most of you guys just said, you have to have a baby in the hospital. You know, you got to take a prenatal. No one ever gave us alternatives, right? So when I had Danielle, you know, I said, okay, I'll have her at home. And it went over very well.
But you know why? Because she had been violated so bad at the hospital with those 2 cesarean. It was, I didn't have to say, oh no, come on now. All I said it was one.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, well,
And
baby at home.
And what did she say? My worst thing that could have happened to me, she said, if something went wrong, we could transfer you to the hospital. That was just like the dentist. The worst thing that could happen is if you need some pain thing, I'll give it to you. So let me try it this way first. There was something to back me up in case I needed it. You know, I didn't need it when I had Danielle. And because of the C-sections, I was in labor for 18 hours or something like that. Oh my God, that was insane. But anyhow, but because of the C-section, if it wasn't for the C-sections, I would have had her very quickly, you know, but they do all kinds of things, you know, but I was able to have her at home with the midwife. I mean, and we did nervines, we did a whole bunch of herbs and stuff like that. And I had her, and she was breeching. I was even going to have her breech. I said, I was going all the way. I said, okay, I'll go for it. You know, but at the last minute, she turned within the last hour. See, most babies will turn, but they don't let you go to that last hour. You know what I mean?
That's loss of money.
And you have to have the mindset. Don't go in there like most women.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a little pain, a little bit. You go in there they scare you before you go there. But you go in there with your mindset, I'm not going to do that. Make up your mind, you know, and just go try it. I did. And I'll be honest, I'm proud of myself. I am, because
Well, she did a great job because, you know, after C-sections, everything's a C-section after that.
And I didn't have to have the second one. It was the second baby was the one that was breech. That's what they said, breech. So they said that, I asked them, and I was very young when I had my kids. And I asked them, well, aren't you supposed to be able to try to turn it? I heard that somewhere. And he says, oh, no, we can't do that. You have to have a C-section, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I did it. So the second one, and they told me I had to have the C-section because I had the first one. And then they sat you down there. Well, you know, there's scar tissue, and there could be thinning. And she didn't even have to finish the sentence. I was like, forget it, nope. Just cut it out. You know, they didn't have to finish because they scared me. Well, then by the time, now Danielle, I didn't plan on having another baby. But when I started learning, I'm like, okay. And then the midwife, I told her, well, what about the scar tissue? And she goes, oh, honey, don't worry about that. And she was a Christian, and she just said, you know, we'll pray on it. She goes, God will work it out. And I'm like, what? She goes, oh, Lily, we could do this. We'll just keep it in prayer and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, try it. And that's what I did. You know, and everything went out. I guess it was a little longer labor, but to me, I was okay with that. I made it up my mind, I'm going all the way. And Danielle, she came out, she was just fine, beautiful baby, never been vaccinated, never been to the doctors, she's never, ever, anyone, if you haven't met my daughter Danielle at the counter, she is total herb baby. It can be done. And I went from one extreme to the other, because my other kids, were in the hospital, they were vaccinated, not once, I couldn't find the records, I did it twice, I did everything wrong. Because they told you, well, if you can't find the records, it's okay to get another shot. That's what they tell you. Yeah, and you think it's no big deal, because you don't even know what's in the shot. You don't know what's in the shot, and you trust them. And now I see my older 3 daughters compared to Danielle, night and day in health. Night and day in attitude, demeanor, everything, night and day. I apologize to them, I just didn't know. You know, it makes a difference, you know. So anyhow, I'm sorry.
That's really another herb is your heritage. Go. Yeah. You go. Oh.
Well, anyhow, let me, you about ready to do the raffle?
Yeah, I'm ready to do the raffle.
Okay, can everybody get one of our new event boards? Everybody has one? One of the event boards? What's going on? Oh, that one? Okay. Anyhow, let me, just mention, some of you already went over this the other day, but real quickly, the next class that we're going to be having